So welcome in the third lesson of the data enrichment section of this Open Refine course, working with API and introduction. So before getting in Refine and actually calling an API and parsing the result, that will be the content of the following two lessons, we spend some time now understanding what is an API and how Refine can interact with an API-based service. So for those who are not familiar with an API, think an API like a restaurant, where you have a menu, which is your API documentation, and going through the documentation and seeing what's available to be able to place an order to the kitchen, which is you make an API call, and when you make this call, you pass several parameters, which is what food on the menu you wish to have. The kitchen receive your order, prepare your food, and return it to your table. This is the API's response. And like restaurants, API have, like you have a right type of restaurants, you have very different API. Some ask you to register or not. Some have more or less parameters, more or less food on the menu. Some have limit on how frequently you can make calls. So how many requests you can do per second, per day, or in total. All come with different price and service level agreement. And API can be fallen into two categories, either using a GET or a POST request. And you will know that by referring to the API documentation. And keep in mind that Refine support only APIs that offer GET type of request. So API give you access to rich curated dataset and powerful machine learning system that today is available only to developers. Most of the API provider works to provide one service very well, so give you access to one very well curated dataset or access to one specific machine learning system. So you can build your case and your process around it and integrate it in your data project. And what's really interesting with OpenRefine, it enable less technical users that don't know how to program and call an API, that don't have the skills to learn Python or PHP, Java, and understand how to interact with the API, to make those calls directly in Refine and enjoy the benefit. So just a couple of API provider, OpenStreetMap that we will use on an example, validate and parse addresses while geocoding them. So you can give them an address, it will return the longitude, latitude, and a clean address. Time zone DB is another API that, given a location on Earth based on the latitude, longitude, will return in which time zone it is and what's the current time. Google Translate also have an API where you can give the text and it will return the translated language. And finally, Alchemy API, we mentioned previously, have a sentiment analysis service and name entity extraction. So API world is very vast. I invite you to go and explore the different marketplace around, like Mashup or Programmable Web, and explore the documentation and see what APIs make sense for your case and how you can leverage it in Refine and your data process.